All right, guys, welcome back. The reason we're all here, Perna, the Fire Chicken or Fire Phoenix. When I think about Summoners War and the Summoners War Sky Arena / Chronicles IP, I think of Perna. Perna is one of those monsters that is just sort of the pinnacle of Sky Arena, right? And we all think about it, especially those of us that used to play Sky Arena. So Perna is coming tomorrow for us on the global / NA servers, and it's going to be a summon fest. Everybody's going to be summoning for Perna, and I want to show you a little bit why. Why is my forehead so big? I just got a haircut. So I am super excited for this monster. First of all, the reason why we're summoning for this monster, check out, this is actually the Korea server. Check out the dungeon lists here. Let's start out with Foggy Prison. Perna. 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 And look, more Perna.
Lambus bread. And look, more lambus bread.
You even have Seal, as well as their new Hero Tree of Heroes raid, right? The hero raid, Perna. Let's look at some of these statistics here. Look at this. Statistics, 20% is using that. Let's look at Seal real quick, right? You don't really necessarily think about Perna for Seal, 21%. Tree of Heroes regular, Perna, 22, almost 23%. Twisted Marsh, 23%. Naraka, 22%. 22%. And of course, Elite Foggy Prison, 21%. Let's go look at some of the dungeons. Some of the dungeons included. So let's check out some of these dungeons, even the hard mode. Look, Perna on the Forgotten Earth Shrine. Let's look at Tear Glands. This one seems right up Perna's alley. Yep, Perna and Hawaii, actually. We need to talk more about Hawaii, by the way. Laboratory of Madness. I doubt this one's being used here. Yeah, as I thought. Ardella. I need to rebuild my Ardella. She was phenomenal. We've got the Lava Cave, which Sharon makes sense. Sharon and the Naranat. But look, there's Perna. Perna's there. Temple of Darkness. As we all know, this one can be kind of a nightmare with the revive sort of mechanic that's in here. Boom, Perna. We're going to talk more about why Perna is actually extremely good for this particular dungeon, as well as the Expedition dungeon, the white version of this boss here. So let's head over. Let's look at Perna's skills real quick, because honestly, they're kind of crazy. So we've got Fire Phoenix here. Let's go to the Awakening. And let's check out some of the skills. You see some of the tags here. It is a fire archer, so very similar to a Tesarion, and it's probably pretty much replacing Tesarion on everybody's dungeon lineup moving forward from here. So some of the things: damage taken up, that is the brand. There is remove immunity, which is awesome. Damage mitigation effects, so it goes through, their damage goes through damage mitigation. So invincibility, shields, and there's some special like Naraka damage mitigation effects that this Perna will go straight through and do damage basically right through that. And then lastly, it applies unrevivable. So that's going to be super helpful for some of these monsters and bosses that we were just talking about. Okay, so let's look at the skills. First skill, nothing crazy to write home about. 165% of attack is damage. Let's get into the real skills here, though. 588.2% of attack as damage, and it ignores the target's damage mitigation effects. This is sort of like Genos, and this is sort of like Leica, and there's a couple other monsters like Cassie, right? Karambit. Monsters that go through shields and monsters that go through invincibility. Attacks the enemy target one time to deal damage that ignores the target's damage mitigation effects. The damage of this attack increases based on the target's lost HP. I'm going to tell you right now, guys, this is a boss monster. As you saw from the list, it is the #1 monster used in every single PvE piece of content, almost. So per 1% of targets lost HP, the damage Perna is going to do goes up by 2%. So pretty great skill there. Flame Nova at level 7 here. 4 mana cost. By the way, this one was 3 mana cost. Pretty good. 4 mana cost. It does a ton of damage. 769 attack as damage. Ignores the damage mitigation effects. So invincibility, shields, those sort of things. Target. If the target is immune to CC effects, which is basically every boss out there, Defense penetration by 50%. This is really what's going to ramp up Perna's damage significantly. Remove immunity, that is nice. There are a couple bosses that pop immunity every now and then. Level 1 damage taken up for 20 seconds. This is that brand. For those of us on Global and NA, we just got the Naraka Hero Raid boss, and brand is extremely important. Perna is going to be going right into my squad for the Naraka Hero Raid. If the target is immune to CC effects, most bosses, unrevivable for 20 seconds. Now, in most cases, that's not a big deal, but that Expedition boss, as well as the Temple of Darkness boss, right? Those two bosses in particular have that revive mechanic, so this will come in really nice. Lastly, if the target is immune to CC effects, most bosses use Flame Nova one time. That is this effect. So basically, they're going to have the opportunity to sort of use this several times in a row, max of 2 times. So that is essentially doing 2 to 3 of this hit. So it's 769 damage, sure, but you're able to do it 2 or 3 times, right? So it's kind of crazy. I think this is sort of a callback to the crazy, violent rune built Pernas, the ones that would just proc over and over and over and kill you before the match even started. I think this is a little bit of a sneaky callback to that. Okay, let's look at the passive, which is pretty unique. This passive is much like a Phoenix in the lore. Phoenix is Revive, right? So Revive with 100% of its HP when defeated and reduces the Eternity cooldown by 6%. So Eternity is this Revive passive. So when it revives, it's got a 120-second timer, so 2 minutes. But every time you use one of these other skills, that cooldown is going to go down by 6 seconds. So it's a pretty decent deal. Very easily, you can build Perna on like a super high attack build, right? To where they're just a glass cannon. And even if they die, they're just going to revive and continue to do more damage on that boss, making for extremely fast speed runs, I'm sure. And then, of course, we've got our big boy ult over here. Let's look at this. Level 2. Look how much damage goes from level 1 to level 2. 1,300 attack as damage, ignores damage mitigation effects. If the target is immune, defense penetration 50%, remove immunity, level 3 damage taken up, so level 3 brand, and of course, unrevivable. So this is just going to do a ton of damage. So I am going to be immediately summoning for Perna. And if you haven't been playing the game for a while, or you want to come back and maybe summon some of your scrolls, Perna is definitely the monster to do it. Definitely because it's like a PvE monster, and it's going to help you clear some of that content that perhaps you weren't able to clear before. Maybe you were getting frustrated with it. So Perna is really great. I'm really excited for Perna to come into the meta. So make sure, I will be live tomorrow. Make sure to come out and check out the summon session. We're going to be summoning for Perna. I might even buy a little small pack, right? Little baby whale, right? I might buy a little small pack. Maybe get a couple Pernas if we can. So I'm excited for this. While we're here, though, let's just take a look at some of the other ones. I know Farmer did a video on Teslar and the strips that are possible with Teslar, so we'll cover that here too. But make sure to go check out Farmer's video on Teslar. Okay, Sigmaris. If you guys remember from Sky Arena, Sigmaris here was actually one of the free monsters you got from sort of the fusion mechanic. You could like fuse monsters together to create a new monster. So here's Sigmaris, the Water Archer. Doesn't sound like there's much to write home about, but let's check it out anyway. Sigmaris, Water Archer, really cool designs. Always have loved Phoenix designs. They're just one of my favorite sort of mythological creatures. All right, let's look at the first skill here. Bump it up to level 7. Mana cost 3, cooldown 18, seems pretty on par. Attacks the enemy target 1 time to deal damage based on attack speed, and applies crit damage taken up. Okay. The damage increases based off the number of beneficial effects. Okay. So there might be a couple bosses out there that have a decent amount of beneficial effects. That might help. Again, this is just a water, damage dealer archer. We sort of have Sharon right now. Sharon right now. She's kind of the meta water archer at the moment. We'll see what this second skill. Attack the enemy target 1 time to deal damage based on its attack speed. Okay, so kind of a similar rune set build to our Sharon's right now. Increases the duration of its own beneficial effects. The damage increases based off the number of its beneficial effects. Wait, did I read this last one wrong? The damage increases based off the number of its beneficial effects. So I read that wrong. So the more beneficial effects on Sigmaris, the better. So, Bastet, Swooses, those sort of things to boost up the number of beneficial effects. That's going to be ideal. In addition, freezes the enemy target with a certain chance and applies defense down if the target is immune to CC effects. Okay, so this is another boss monster. So like if you're just starting out the game, I'm sure this will be a great monster to use in a lot of boss content. You know, overall, sounds like there's some other monsters that might do it a little bit better, but you've got them. So defense down is not bad. Just, I don't know, seems kind of lackluster. It looks like just a straight damage dealer, nothing special. You know, based off of its modifiers here, seems to be honestly kind of on the weaker side. Damage based on attack speed, though. So, I don't know. Could be okay, I guess, in some dungeons, but doesn't sound like anything to write home about. The one I do want to look at, this is a mage, actually, Teslar. So, it's a wind mage. Nice. I do remember running Teslar sort of in some cleave comps in the Sky Arena days. So let's see what we got here. Here we go. Basic attack. Level 1 here. Attacks the enemy one time to deal damage based on the target's lost HP and steal a beneficial effect. Okay, so we're stealing. This is always good. Stealing just is different than stripping, right? Stealing is you take and you put on yourself. This attack always critically hits. When attacking, critical hit guaranteed. Interesting. So do we not have to build this with any crit damage whatsoever? I'm sorry, any crit rate whatsoever? Let's check this last skill though. Make sure that that still applies. Okay, we got some energy of wind mechanic going on here. So mana cost 5. It's a little on the high side. Attacks enemies within the area one time and stuns with a certain chance. Uses the following skill instead if energy of wind is a level 10. Okay. So normal skill, and then if your energy of wind is level 10, it's going to use a different skill. Attacks enemies within a very large area, so the AoE effect will get bigger if it's at level 10. To deal damage that ignores the damage mitigation effects. That's that same one we talked about before, the shields, invincibility, those are the big ones. Apply block beneficial effect. It's pretty strong. And stun with a certain chance. This attack always critically hits. Interesting. So honestly, this monster is going to be kind of easy to build without any crit rate whatsoever. So you can just stack as much crit damage as you want, not having to worry about any crit rate whatsoever. It's pretty cool. Afterward, energy of wind disappears. I think the biggest thing here with this skill is that how quickly are we getting this energy of wind? We'll look at the passive here in a second. So there's the 70% stun rate for 3.5 seconds. Here's all the if energy of wind is at level 10. Does a lot more damage, which is good. That is a lot of damage for sure. Crit hit guaranteed. Remove all beneficial effects. Block beneficial effects. 80% rate of stun. Remove energy of wind. Okay, this is a very good skill at 5 mana cost, but it is dependent on that level 10 energy. So let's check out the passive, see how we get that energy. Gains a certain level of energy of wind every time it receives a beneficial effect. Okay. Energy of wind decreases with a certain level every time it receives a harmful effect. Okay. This is where I think it becomes a very so-so monster. Applying beneficial effects on a routine basis, not incredibly difficult. This monster does not apply it on its own, so it is reliant on other monsters to apply those beneficial effects. There's not a ton of monsters that do like a lot of beneficial effects, at least ones that aren't like super meta. Like Wusa's pretty meta, and I'm sure there's a couple other monsters, but then you've got the downside of upon receiving a harmful effect. Now, this is a mage, so it's going to be typically in the back line, but if you're using it in Brawl, definitely not going to... I mean, mages already have a hard time in Brawl, so it's kind of rough to bring this kind of monster into a Brawl match, but, you know, maybe Arena or even Siege or something like that, where they're in the back line and they're not receiving any harmful effects, at least as much. So I can definitely see it in Siege. I think this is going to be a phenomenal Siege monster. You know, you're in a Siege battle and it's taken a little bit longer, as most Siege battles do, and you have enough time to stack that level 10. And once you finally do get to that level 10 energy, then you drop this skill, and boy, does it hit hard, right? So I think that's sort of where Teslar is going to fit right now. I think he's going to be really hard, even in Arena, honestly, unless you have two monsters that are just constantly pumping out beneficial effects. he's just sort of a so-so monster with this 5 mana cost skill. So that's my thoughts on Teslar. Uludia. Uludia was one of my very few LD Nat 5s in Sky Arena. So I would love to pull Uludia, but you know, we'll see. All right, let's look at some of the Uludia things. I remember back in the day, Uludia was a pretty good cleave monster, stripping everything as well as applying defense down to everything. So we'll see if that carries over. First skill here, or first basic. Okay, same stuff as usual. Okay, skill 1. Attacks the enemy target 1 time to deal damage based on the target's lost HP and steal a beneficial effect. This attack always critically hits. So it's another one of those. Okay. Okay, target's lost HP. So it does sound like another boss monster. A lot of these sound like boss monsters, honestly. Kind of unfortunate that we probably won't see a lot of them in PvP, but we'll see. You never know. Okay, so we have another Energy of Light situation. Let's go to level 7 here. Attacks the area within the area 1 time and applies defense down with a certain chance. Use the following skill with level 10. So obviously you're looking for Energy of Light level 10. That's really going to be the only use for this skill. If you're using it, you know, outside of level 10, it's probably not great. Okay. Attacks the enemies within a very large area 1 time to deal damage that ignores damage mitigation effects. That is good. Remove all beneficial effects and applies defense down. So very similar to its Sky Arena version. And unrecoverable. Unrecoverable is extremely powerful. I think honestly more powerful in most cases than block beneficial effect. Okay, so it does do a lot. It is very, very powerful. You slam this down, it's going to do a ton of damage, and then it's going to strip everything, and it's going to land defense down. Then you just got to follow up with another skill. After using 5 mana, though, you're not going to have a lot of other skills. So hopefully timing this kind of well, maybe an arena or a brawl or a siege match. Again, another siege monster. Let's check out this passive, though. Upon receiving a beneficial effect, level 2 Energy of Light. Real quick, was Teslar level 2 too? Okay, so this was level 2. So I had misread a little bit. I thought it was just 1 stack, but it is getting 2 stacks. So you do only need 5 beneficial effects in order to reach that level 10, which isn't honestly incredibly bad. That's pretty fast. If you bring like a Bastet or something like that, you can spam her thing 3 times and you're done, right? Or maybe you have a Bastet and maybe like an Aerial or an Ophelia or something like that. Ophelia pops up that defense, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 beneficial effects. So, okay. Also, immunity. Energy of Light, level 1 down. Upon receiving a harmful effect, okay, where's the immunity come in? The level, see, once Energy of Light reaches level 10, the level will no longer change and becomes immune to harmful effects. Ooh, was this the same? Okay, this was the same as Teslar. Okay, this is changing my opinion just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Because once you reach level 10, it's immune to harmful effects. That's pretty strong. The fact that any monster is immune to harmful effects. As you know, like harmful effects is typically what kills a monster. So the fact that this is immune is kind of crazy. And then I'm sure ultimate is just going to be big damage. Again, being mage monsters and archer monsters, I have a hard time seeing them being used in any sort of PvP brawl content, but we'll see. All right, let's go through this last one, Jarrah. Defense down, remove beneficial effect, damage based on targets, lost HP, damage taken up, around brand, unrevivable. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on here as well. Let's look at this first skill here. Targets lost HP, target unrevivable upon death. 4 mana cost. It is a pretty good modifier. So the dark one, it is a really good modifier, but there is no crit guarantee in this one. So that's sort of the trade-off. It gives you a lot better modifier here, but there's no crit guaranteed, so you will have to build this one with crit. Attacks the enemy target 1 time to deal damage based on the target's current HP. 27.3% of target's current HP, which is interesting. This is based off of target's lost HP, and this is based off of target's current HP. So it's almost like you start out by spamming this skill, Dark Nova, and as their health goes down, either the boss or like a siege offense, then you kind of switch over to spamming Arcane Blast to finish it off with big damage. It's at least what it looks like to me. Remove one beneficial effect every time you use it. Is that AoE? Enemy target one time. So it looks like just one. Okay. And then unrevivable for 20 seconds. Okay. Passive. When attacking with a skill, defense down. Ooh. When attacking with a skill, level 1 damage taken up. Ooh, for 10 seconds. Okay. So every time you use a skill, you're getting defense down and brand. So basically what a Helia does, right? Helia lands a defense down and a brand with that one skill. So, but this is happening every single attack. So Jarrah pretty nice. Jarrah pretty nice. Big damage, big damage. So, all right. So that is all of the monsters. Honestly, obviously I'm going for Perna, right? Obviously I'd love to get the LDs, but if I had to choose, my second choice would be Teslar for sure. And then I think Sigmaris is going to be my last choice. So if I have enough scrolls, I'm going to go for one of Perna. And I think if I have enough scrolls, I'll go for a Teslar as well. So if you want to see that summon session, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you can be notified when I go live tomorrow for the Perna summon session. As always, guys, I thank you for watching. If you have any questions or just want to chat Summoners War, the Discord link is down below in the description. You can go join that. There's a lot of smart people there that can answer questions or just chat Summoners War. As always, guys, I'm TopherSmurf telling you to keep on gaming.